What's going on, guys? ¿Cómo están? BugaLuis here and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Today we're not in our usual setup and hopefully there's not too much echo. I'm here in the backyard. Right now my room is a mess because I'm doing bags to go back home for Christmas. So yeah, I don't want you to be seeing that mess. Today we're going to be taking a look at Barcelona versus Inter de Milan, which is going to be taking place at the Giuseppe Meazza tomorrow for the Champions League. Barcelona have already qualified, they're top of the group. There's no way whatsoever that we fall from that position. So they say, and with I mean they, the media say, that Barcelona are going to make a lot of rotations. The squad has already been announced at the moment of recording this video, and with that, Leo Messi is not included. So we're gonna be talking about that. But first, I have to say that if you've seen the title and you clicked and you're like, losing is key, what the hell did this guy means about that? Well, let me explain right away. So definitely this has to be the very first hot take of today's video, and I'm not saying that Barcelona will lose, and I'm not saying Barcelona should go with the mentality of losing. I'm saying that it's key for us to have it in the back of our minds. We cannot affront a game like this, even though we're qualified, like saying we've already won it, because that's not the case. That is a mentality that has taken us to one of the two worst disasters ever in our history, and especially of my young lifetime, seeing Barcelona lose 3-0 against Roma and then 4-0 against Liverpool the year following that. So there's no possible way that Valverde can endorse that, if you know what I mean. Even though we're gonna make rotations and new players perhaps like Musa Wagué, which are gonna be making, in my opinion, their debut for the club at right back, since Roberto is also not included in the call-up, they have to keep that competitiveness in them, because they cannot be transmitted those bad emotions or those bad vibes, which are that they can just be confident. Barcelona need to go against Inter de Milan like any other game, because for Inter it's a really good chance to progress to the next stages of the UCL, and Antonio Conte will be looking for that. So we must give them a good game and not just simply hand it to them. My second hot take is actually a good deviation from that, and I'm going to say that whichever team progresses to the knockout stages of the Champions League, be it Inter de Milan or Dortmund, which are both at 7 points in our group, they will win their respective leagues. Dortmund Bundesliga and Inter Serie A. Right now, Inter are 2 points above Juventus, since Juventus lost to a 10-man Lazio, very interestingly. The key here of what I'm saying is that the team that qualifies to the knockout stages, not the one that gets eliminated. Normally you would say, oh, the team that gets eliminated, you know, that one is going to be the team that has better chances to win the league. The Europa League is just harder. You got an extra knockout stage, be it the 32 round, which you don't have in the UCL. You have to travel further distances. You have to go to different places in Europe and just face them away, which is always going to be tougher, and it's going to keep building and mounting extra load that these sort of teams do not need if they want to compete for that title. The reason why a Barca fan in myself is commenting about this is because just universally you want to see more competitiveness in other leagues around European football. So in this case, Juventus have been winning the Serie A for the longest of times, and the same with the Bundesliga with Bayern Munich. So I think it's time, and I think generally it's a good chance that Dortmund or Inter can break that mold and just simply crown themselves as the title champions of their respective leagues. So my third and final hot take is going to be that I believe Lionel Messi shouldn't have been rested. In my opinion, we should have rested Luis Suarez and not him. I'm much more fond of the fact of having Lionel Messi on the side and keeping him in the rhythm of competitive games to affront that El Clasico, which is going to be a 6-pointer, just in the freshest way possible. And I believe the freshest way for Lionel Messi is playing games, not necessarily taking a day off. He's gonna be having a difficult game against Real Sociedad, we all know that, and perhaps there's something that behind the scenes is going on where he feels a little bit fatigued and stuff like that, because he of course had the trouble to go to Paris for the Ballon d'Or early last week. So there are certain factors that can be involved into this decision of keeping Messi out of this game. But ultimately, the world best player, you always want to have him in your team. So with that being said, we segue perfectly into my predicted 11s for both teams. There has been a lot of talk in the media, like I said before, where a lot of rotations is gonna happen, and we're gonna be discussing how much rotation should Barcelona really do. But first of all, I'm gonna be giving you that list of players which I think are gonna be playing for us tomorrow in the UCL. I'm gonna be going with Norberto Neto in the goalkeeper, his very first appearance for us since the start of the season, I believe. Then we're going to be giving the Champions League debut to Moussa Baré. Next to him, we're going to be pairing the center backs of Lenglet and Samuel Umtiti with Junior Firpo through the left. Then Frankie de Jong in the middle, Vidal and Aleñá, with up top having Carles Perez, Anton Griezmann and Ansu Fati. I'm going to be putting an asterisk next to Ansu Fati because that is up to the medical staff and the player itself to see if he feels ready for this game. Of course, having Fati on the bench is still a great tool, and if not, we of course have Luis Suarez, but I would like to see Fati start if he is available. For the other team, in Inter Milan, for Antonio Conte, we got their typical 3-5-2, and we're going to be having Samir Handanovic, Diego Godin, Milan Skriniar, Stefan de Vrij, Brozovic, Borja Valero, Vecino, Di Ambrosio, Christian Biraghi, Lukaku, and Lautaro Martinez. If you ask me for a one to watch for this game for, of course, Barca fans, will be Lautaro Martinez. He has been killing it right now in Serie A, that is no secret. So what better way than against Barcelona to continue that run of form? He has already scored 1 goal against us. Can he make another? I don't know. That has to be the one player we have to be look out for. I'm just saying that Sensi is not going to be playing. He's injured for this game. So it's going to be interesting to see how their midfield works when facing a team like Barca. Sensi was, I think, instrumental in making Barcelona suffer in that first game at the Camp Nou. So just watching Inter without them is going to be very interesting. Against Roma, they didn't have the best of times. So let's see how they can build from that draw. So from the lineups, you'll be able to see that I've made some rotations, but not necessarily just full-fledged out changing a starting 11. I believe that is not really the way to do rotations, in my opinion. The best way when you're introducing players like Guagué, like Aleñá back into the team, even Carles Perez and Ansu Fati if they show up, is to have already a working spine ready for those players to adjust. It's really unfair to judge players in a complete different scenario. For instance, Jean-Claire Todibo is a situation I don't really understand. If Todibo departs the club to Bayer Leverkusen like it's being talked in the media, it's going to be a very, very, very big flop for me from Barcelona, because this is a guy with a lot of talent, but we've never been able to see him integrated with the main team. The last game where we saw that was against Sevilla, and I believe he played really well and actually deserved another start for the following game, but he never got that. If we test him again in a game against Inter, where really there's not too much things at stake, where Valverde doesn't really care that much whether we win or not, it's going to be a bad sign. It's going to be a bad sign because most of the time those teams, they don't work. We've seen it, and the best example of it was last year in the Copa del Rey. Every single away match we had in the knockout rounds was like that. We changed the entire 11, played completely reserved players, and when they show up, they lose or they played very, 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 very bad because of course they do not play and understand each other as much as they should. So that shouldn't be what Barcelona try to replicate in this game. If we want to introduce players like Guagué, which I think is a probably 100% starter at this stage, he needs to have a good solid defense next to him, not just Todibo, for instance, or in front of him, not just someone like Aleñá Riqui Puig, which of course I would like to see, and I think we will, but as a starting 11, we need to keep things solid. So with that being said, my prediction against Inter is going to be, which is very difficult because a loss here is very plausible. We're going away at one of the hardest stadiums, and last year we didn't got a win in a very similar situation where we didn't have Leo Messi. I'm gonna be saying that Barcelona will get a 2-2 draw. I think that no Barca fan would be mad with that, especially if we are able to be competitive with the young players that are coming to the side. Going in the Champions League away from home is something you don't normally see when you have young players. Normally they play at home with the backing of the fans, so it's gonna be an interesting challenge for all of those guys that play in today's game. In tomorrow's game, sorry. So with all of that being said, I guess I encourage you to leave your lineups and results in the comment box down below, all your predictions, all of that down there. And perhaps you may be seeing a little more of this backdrop until I get my room sorted out. Hopefully I'll be able to finish packing bags by tomorrow. So yeah, that's gonna be it, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care, ciao.